What's going on, everybody? Jay the Black here, back with another video. Shout out to everybody that is tuning in. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the notification bell. Also, make sure you like this video. Hopefully you're sharing it, especially if you're NFL fans or maybe fans of the Steelers and you know what I'm saying is right. I want to talk about Antonio Brown, AB. He went full pro-whack, and when I mean pro-whack, I mean pro-black. He went and called his ex-teammate basically an Uncle Tom, because basically Ryan alluded to the fact that the Steelers need to part ways with him and didn't really necessarily believe that he is a team guy. And he talked about, well, he kind of went in on AB, but I mean, AB brought it on himself. Now, this is a guy who reportedly got into it with Ben Roethlisberger. His butted heads with coaches. He's refusing to practice even though he's not injured. They're saying he threw a football at Ben Roethlisberger. That's how toxic that situation is. And when your star wide receiver has a toxic relationship with the quarterback, it's time to part ways. Now, I will say this though. I did not like the fact that Ben Roethlisberger basically threw Le'Veon Bell under the bus when Le'Veon Bell has said nothing. Now, do I agree with Le'Veon holding out? I would say no, because now, I don't understand how the situation is. Maybe he's going to be let go as an unrestricted free agent. Maybe that's what he wanted, but he missed out on a whole season's payday. It was going to be a very big payday as a franchise running back. But that's how badly he wanted to get out of that situation, and he gambled on himself. Now, will it work out? This guy missed a whole season of football. But I didn't like how Ben Roethlisberger basically was like, if we had that guy, we wouldn't have missed the playoffs. Well, we don't know that, and I think that I saw Pittsburgh play, in a couple of games this year. Ben Roethlisberger has been careless with the football at times. Ben Roethlisberger has not been very consistent. As a matter of fact, he hasn't been consistent in a couple of years. He usually plays his best in big games, but the Steelers lost games this season because the offense was very inconsistent. The defense was at times too, but when you're the quarterback, you have to make it work. Now, I can see him not really getting along with Antonio Brown as to why this season ended up the way it did. But it just seems to me that AB and Ben Roethlisberger, there's something going on there. Well, anyway, honestly, I think that if Mike Tomlin had it his way, he would have traded Antonio Brown. But I truly believe that the Steelers organization is the one who's holding on to Antonio Brown, just like they're holding on to Le'Veon Bell, because I'm pretty sure they could have traded Le'Veon Bell. They could have worked something out, a trade and sign, sort of like, to get a team from under that franchise tag. But they didn't do that because I think the organization is the ones who are keeping Mike Tomlin basically, chained to Antonio Brown. Now, Ryan Clark made a comment, and he basically said that he made a comment to a strength coach, I believe, that if the Steelers give AB money, basically you're creating a monster. And you saw it early on in his career. I believe Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, a lot of those guys came in at the same time. They started to give themselves a nickname. I forget the nickname. I don't know if it was the money team or something like that. I don't remember. But in their second year, those guys came in. They played really well as rookies. And you can already see the egos, Now, Antonio seemed like a cool guy. I did a video or two about Antonio Brown and his situation with his girlfriend, who he broke up with and got with IG Thazad and then got back with his girlfriend. And also his other baby mother blasting him. So he's been very public with his situations, And I just feel like they need to part ways with each other. Okay, but for Antonio Brown, to call Ryan Clark and Uncle Tom because he disagrees with him That just shows how ignorant you are, dude. It shows how ignorant you are. So he's an Uncle Tom for critiquing you. That is his job. He didn't say that, you shouldn't talk to your white teammates a certain way. He didn't say that you need to, bend the knee and respect the organization and respect all of the white people in the organization. Respect your coach, even though your head coach is black. He basically was like, Antonio Brown is selfish. Now, instead of Antonio Brown responding in a mature manner, he wants to call people an Uncle Tom. Why don't you call him a coon too? And this is what black people do. They call each other names when they cannot refute what someone says about them. Antonio Brown knows he's a selfish player. He knows he's about getting, 15 balls, 180, 90 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns. That's the type of guy he is. He wants to make his money. He's gotten paid. Now he's showing you who he is, his personality. There's nothing wrong with having personality. But you have to understand, bro, you cannot be refusing to practice. You can't be disrespecting your coaches, and you can't be getting back and forth with your quarterback. If you don't like Ben Roethlisberger, that's cool. But you're teammates until the end of the season. Then once the season comes, then you can ask for a trade. But to be reportedly throwing footballs at the guy, I mean, come on, bro, really? And the other players on the team are going to see this. Now, I will say this, though. I don't think Le'Veon was as liked in that locker room as he may have thought he was. Because when he left, before he left, when he decided not to come back after, I believe, week 7, week 8, the Pittsburgh Steelers players went and started taking stuff out of his locker. They were already talking about how selfish of a teammate he was. So I don't think he was very liked. That's probably why he didn't come back. I don't think Le'Veon Bell felt like he fit in that locker room anymore. That's one of the reasons why he didn't come back. He didn't care anymore. He wants to get paid. He wants a long-term deal or bigger guaranteed money, which is what a lot of NFL players want. They want big guaranteed money. And also this, I also want to say this. I didn't mention this. There was a story that went viral, I believe 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been a year ago. This guy, Antonio Brown, was in the locker room right after they won a game, okay? And he is literally Facebook live streaming while Mike Tomlin is giving a speech to the team. Now, you will see clips of certain, locker room speeches during the Fox NFL show. You will see that, but they didn't have any football. They didn't have any cameras in there. Okay. So Antonio Brown, instead of listening to what Mike Tomlin was saying, this guy is Facebook live streaming. I guess because he's getting paid 6 figures to Facebook live stream. But why would you choose during a post-game speech when he's addressing the team, he's cursing, he's being animated, as Mike Tomlin always is, to Facebook live stream, dude? That lets you know the guy's, he's not a critical thinker, I'm not saying he's dumb, I'm just saying he's not a very critical thinker. And that is why he's in the situation he's in now. Antonio Brown to me seemed like a guy who wants to be, he wants to be T.O. 2.0. He wants to be big outside of the NFL. And I would honestly say he has a bigger shot because he was recently on The Masked Singer, okay? He was also featured on Dancing with the Stars a couple years back. And he's in commercials. And I will say this, though. He does have charisma. He does have an it factor about him that he could do things outside of football. And maybe that's where his mind is going further and further too. This is why, he's, watching Mike Tomlin's press conference with James Harrison and they're recording themselves, man. I mean, I don't know what it is, man. These guys, forget that they're in the NFL. This ain't the NBA where you have these guaranteed contracts and you can just say and do a lot of things. And, these teams have to put up with it because of how much guaranteed money, for those contracts. All that contract is guaranteed. But Antonio Brown got to understand, at a certain point, you're not going to be as fast as you were. You're not going to be as quick as you were. You're not going to be able to run routes as effectively. And teams are going to be waiting to get rid of you. The Steelers too. The Steelers are only putting up with you, Antonio, because you're their best receiver. They don't have anything else. What do they have? They have Juju Smith-Schuster, who's a pretty good number 2 option. Very good number 2 option. Eli Rogers, Darius Hayward-Bay. They don't have a lot of depth at wide receiver. They've always had depth at wide receiver, but because of them trying to fill other positions, they've had to lighten the receiving core. But they've always done good drafting wide receivers. This is why if Antonio Brown got traded, I wouldn't worry about that if I was a Steelers fan, because the Steelers have always had a history of drafting very good wide receivers. I think that the only way to salvage this, the only way to really get this team together, you have to trade Antonio Brown. I will also say this though. I think Ben Roethlisberger needs to retire. He's almost in semi-retirement mode. That offensive line played well. That's the best Pittsburgh's offensive line has played in a long time. And Ben Roethlisberger was still making bad decisions. James Conner was able to run the ball for them effectively throughout the season before he got hurt. Don't blame Le'Veon for your mistakes, dude. Le'Veon would have helped, yes, but at the end of the day, Tom Brady is great because he doesn't need a number 1 running back. He doesn't need, a number 1 wide receiver. He has multiple guys he can go to who can be those options. It's not just a number 1 guy, So I really think Pittsburgh need to trade him. I think that Ryan Clark was right. I know some of you are not going to like it, but that's just my opinion.